And we're now live.
Okay, we'll call the Asset Management Committee meeting to order. It's, I've got 10:40. Are there any additions or amendments to the agenda?
Chair,
Yes?
I spoke earlier to our CAO about adding this. I wish to add a discussion about traffic congestion at the Galleri Lake Boat Launch, please.
Okay, we'll put that down as number 6.
Wonderful.
Okay.
Sorry,
Could I get a
sorry,
mover?
Councillor Shalin, can we add it
Yes.
to number 5 under new business?
Okay, well, 5 or 6. Okay.
And also, I believe, Dave, if you're online, are you prepared to give an update to the 2 tenders?
Yes, I am.
And get it, and so I'd like to add that on the agenda as well. So update to tender SA 2021-04 for the medical center and the library replacement, and SA 2021-05 for the replacement of the roof for the Lester Smith building.
Okay, thanks, Tracy. We'll get to that. Okay, can I get a mover to accept the agenda as amended?
I'll do
I'll
that.
move. I'll
Moved
second.
by Councillor Florence, second by Councillor Harper. Does anyone have a pecuniary interest to disclose? None noted. Now, we've discussed this before in one previous meeting, and Brian, CAO, Clerk Treasurer, has prepared a report here. I'll let him start by going over it, and then we'll have him and both Tracy walk us through the bylaw, or we can take, I'll take it step by step, and but they certainly will have the answers.
I'll defer this to Tracy, who actually prepared the report. Tracy?
Thank you. So going back to the meeting of June 30th, council had requested staff to provide more information on a travel trailer and recreational vehicle licensing bylaw. So the draft bylaw that's in the package is very high level. It's going to need, as indicated in here, that it's going to need more work, and further discussions will need to be made by council if we do decide to pursue this. So currently, as it stands right now, with the zoning bylaw and the official plan, that travel trailers and recreational vehicles are not permitted on lands. So this would provide property owners with the opportunities to license them and have them available. I know there's some discussion the other day that, and it's up to council, they can have make the permitted uses with any zone. So they can have it on rural, but not an SR or a residential zone. So that's something to consider as well. So I think I'll leave it to council if they have any questions or comments. And Brian and I will try to answer them to the best of our knowledge, or we will definitely find the answers for you.
Could we start by page 1 then and go through?
I have a question, Councillor Shala.
Yes. Go ahead, Councillor Collins. What number are you at?
Oh, just a general question here about this. Have we any idea what our neighbouring townships are charging for these permits? I notice it's been blanked out here for obviously us to determine what fee, if we go ahead, would be applying. But do we have an indication of what our neighbouring townships are actually charging? There was an article in Cottage Life, I think it was last month, saying that some townships were charging $500 for the year, and they've now increased that to $1,000. But I just wondered what price our neighbouring townships are using. Do you know that?
The, the one that is sticking in my head, because I reviewed a few of them, was of $600 annual. Again, I think if council decides to pursue it, then I think we need to go back to the table and maybe do and analyze and do a summary of what other municipalities are doing or what they're charging, and what makes sense for us to, help compensate staff's time in order to enforce this, because this is going to be an undertaking for staff and council as well. And I think that's something that we need to consider in doing this. So I think was saying that, going back to your question, Sandra, I think that the one that sticks out of my head the most was $600 for annual. I can go back and grab the tender, or the bylaw, and look at it. I have it on my desk, but I don't have it in front of me right now.
I wonder if it'd be appropriate, I have a comment and I'd like us to, it seems that the interest in this has surfaced because of somebody renting one of these. And personally, I see a big difference between a trailer that's being rented and a trailer that's put on a site for a weekend by a family member. And when I look at a trailer that's being rented, personally, I wouldn't feel too comfortable, regardless of how much money the township earn because of it, if my neighbor or neighbors on each side of me had a trailer within 10 feet of my property line and rented it every weekend to strangers from other communities. I think it may have an effect of our safety and well-being of our township over a period of time. I certainly do not have any problem with my neighbors who I trust if they set the same trailer up for 2 or 3 weeks of a year because a family member came to visit them. Because if I trust them, I like to trust their family members. But definitely see a difference between trailers that are being rented and trailers that are just there because we want to continue that family bond. We want to have family reunions. And we went through a official plan. We went through a zoning bylaw process. We didn't have any public comments about trailering. It just seemed to surface because I know in our own community, I think because one ended up in everybody's face in the community here and is being rented on a ongoing basis. So I see and that one's kind of away from everybody's property in a sense that it's a distance away, but it could be right adjacent to your home or my home or somebody else's. So I'm just wondering, when we think about this whole process through, what do we really want? And anyway, I've made some comments about the bylaw. We can go through it. I think we should go through it. There's a lot of work went into it. We can go page by page. And hopefully Tracy and Brian can answer our questions. And then maybe we can have some questions at the end, or want to have comments from everybody at the beginning, which may direct us as to how we're going down the road with this as we make some decisions in this bylaw or suggestions. What does council think?
I have some comments. I'm glad to finally hear a dollar amount involved in this. And I don't really care what the dollar amount is, because I understand under the present situations, trailers are not assessed by impact. And the permit fee would be to compensate the township for that. I don't really have a huge problem with that. The problem is going to be to determine which ones you send a bill, or which ones need to be permitted and which ones don't. I think there's so much in this bylaw that it's too comprehensive. I think there's a lot of things in here that I can't live with at all. One of them specifically is the length of the term, and we're prohibiting people from staying in a trailer from the 1st of December until the 1st of May. Like, how can we determine what time of the year is best for people to use a trailer? Like, it's incomprehensible to me. I think it's unenforceable. I think there's adequate laws already existing in our bylaws, especially the ones concerning septic systems, that if this would have been handled from day one using that bylaw, a lot of these situations wouldn't exist today. I've seen a post on Facebook that one of the local septic contractors isn't pumping trailers anymore. He's just not doing it. So I don't know how they're getting it done. Some of those ones that are set up on a permanent basis and I don't see that there's any pipes coming out of the bottom of them hooked to a septic system. And if they are hooked to a septic system, it should have been inspected by our building inspector. Obviously they haven't. So I'm assuming that they're not. I think it's unenforceable. I think maybe somebody somewhere along the line decided that we're going to have a bylaw enforcement, and now we're making a job for them. To me, it's backwards.
Yeah, Mayor, go ahead.
I think this is a really important issue that we have to address. I'm not out and about traveling very much, but I happen to go to Barry's Bay maybe about every 2 weeks. And every time I go to Barry's Bay, there's yet another trailer parked somewhere. And in the interim, some of them have put decks on them, and they're travel trailers. They're not, as we went through the process with someone in last month, they, to make their permanent trailer take off the hitch and all that stuff. So they're popping up everywhere. And that's only on Highway 60 that I can see them. I don't travel, I don't travel, or I haven't traveled, say, for example, to the, branch roads that go off 127 and Highway 60. They're popping up everywhere. And they're becoming, they're there. There's a trailer there 1 week, and then the next time you go by, there's a wooden patio on the front of it. And I have grave concerns about where is the, the gray water, et cetera, going. And I think we have to have something, or we're going to, where is the fairness to the residents of South Algonquin that pay taxes for the services that they provide? And we have trailers popping up, and, are they taking their garbage? Where's their garbage going? I don't know. So I think we've got concerns, and people come to this area because it's pristine. It's a beautiful area. It's forested. It's not a garbage dump yet, but I have concerns in regards to just letting this happen helter skelter. And I think we need this bylaw.
Mayor, are you referring to trailers on Crown land, or are you referring to trailers
No,
on private property?
Private property.
Okay.
Well, if people are paying taxes on private property, they can certainly send their garbage to the dump.
I don't know. I don't know if it's the owners or if it's family members of the owners that are coming and putting trailers up on the property and expanding it.
Doesn't matter.
To me, it does.
Okay, can we go through this bylaw then, maybe page by page? Anyone have any questions about the first page?
Richard, can I say something?
Yes.
Before we go through any bylaw and actually look at any bylaw, should we not be looking, who do we have to enforce anything that we approve? Are we going to agree to the extra hours for a bylaw enforcement agent? And I know Madawaska Valley has actually advertised for exactly that on a full-time basis. I think they're sharing it with Killaloe, Haggerty and Richards. But before we look at any bylaw, there's no point looking at anything if we have no enforcement in place. So I think council needs to bear in mind, I know it's a bit, I think the phrase is the donkey pushing the cart or something like that. But I think we have to have a bylaw enforcement before we think about any bylaw.
Well, I'm a little nervous of paying about, when I looked at this and I seen $25,000, but then when you add on a vehicle onto it, then you add on clothing, and then you add on training, and then you add on the whole bunch. First thing you know, we're talking about, it's likely going to be $50,000. Well, chase trailers and dogs. I think we have to look at the whole big picture. I appreciate all the work, but I'm just wondering, yes, I agree, but that's not the discussion. The discussion now is, should we go through and try and make some suggested changes to this, even if we agree or don't agree? Or do we want to table it? If we don't, there's been a lot of work put into this in the last period. So if we go through, I think we owe it to the staff to make the suggestions that we may have made. And we can come back to the table a few times, but I just see it. I just want to, if we continue to allow under a month, for example, use of camping without a permit, I'm just thinking it's allowing us some traditional use, but not putting a tax burden on the ratepayer to cover a lot of enforcement. But if we regulate this and allow it so that somehow it becomes a rental, I think bottom line personally is, if this is any type of a rental trailer, that rental trailer should fall under the guidelines that's already spelled out in the zoning bylaws. It says where you can have a trailer. And that's in a trailer park if it's going to be rented. But do we want to rent them all along, say, Lake Street in Whitney? I don't think all the ratepayers would want that. So I just think there's a whole bunch, there's a lot to this than
Well, there seems to be, we got to pick a direction as to who this bylaw is targeted at, because I mean, Richard made some good points when you're dealing with people that, you know, your family's coming up and you're going to have a trailer there for a month because everybody's coming and going, versus somebody who's renting or somebody who's, you know, sitting, what are we going to do with the ones on Crown land? You know, we still run into that problem, and they're putting up structures. It doesn't seem to target those. And then again, you got the same things going on in the campgrounds. I mean, you know, I think in some respects we got to kind of decide what we're really trying to prevent.
Councillor Shalla.
yes.
I just want to take a step back for a moment. We've got a number of issues that are here. And I think what we need to do is assess them individually. The first issue is currently our official plan and zoning absolutely prohibit trailers in any place but a campground setting. They prohibit it. So the first question is, do we wish to fix that? Because alternatively, right now, people are in contravention of the zoning bylaw. Secondly, then, if in fact we choose to allow them, do we in fact choose to regulate that, or are we just going to let it be the Wild West? So we have a couple of choices to make here. The first big question is, right now, it's absolutely prohibited. I should technically be sending bylaw out, charging every one of them with an offense under the Planning Act, and taking them into a courtroom and letting the courts decide the fines, which are actually quite substantial under the Planning Act. So if we're not going to do that, we wish to permit this to happen, then we need to decide in what manner we're going to allow it to happen. So I just want to take that step back before we get too far into this bylaw, because this travel trailer bylaw is a result of assuming that we're going to make changes to the existing official plan and zoning bylaw. And if in fact that's not council's desire, staff felt it was based on an earlier meeting, I believe in June we discussed this. But if that's not the desire of council, then all of these trailers that are currently in existence on municipal property, we can't affect anything within Crown lands, but on municipal property currently are in contravention of the official plan and the zoning, with the exception of the ones that are being allowed for the purposes of reconstruction where a building permit has been issued.
What about the ones that existed prior to the zoning bylaw coming into effect?
They might be deemed to be legal non-conforming uses, Councillor Florent, but in fact, they would not be able to replace those trailers with new trailers under the existing bylaw.
Okay, now, does council feel, maybe we should have a show of hands here. I agree with what you're saying, Brian, but should we get a show of hands here, whether we are in favor of having or allowing trailers to pop up here and there, and for the whole year, or are we in favor of having trailers for a short time use, for family use? Or then there's the other trailer that somebody's renting out on their property, and that could explode. There's a big demand now for people traveling around, and it could just put neighbor against neighbor, and we don't want to destroy the morale in our community, because when we have a public event, we want everybody rolling up their sleeves and coming to help out with it. But if we develop some plan where it appears that we've allowed somebody to do something to make a few dollars, and he's got strangers beside his home every weekend that he didn't really want, then I just see it twofold. Maybe we just allow trailers on vacant land, and for a temporary time period, and anybody could decide that, where we could have that family reunion, that traditional function, that family coming up for the weekend. That's and that happens. That's been ongoing. It just seems that maybe it's showing up more in our faces here, but anyway, I want to hear from council. I want to move forward with this. I want to walk through this.
Councillor Shall, if I could jump in here, I think staff, I know staff because it's me, just want direction on, do we want to regulate them, or do we want to leave as is and them not be in compliance with the zoning bylaw and the official plan? And then that means that bylaw needs to go enforcement. And then we're back to that whole enforcement issue again, where we just don't have the staff right now to enforce it. Or do we change the official plan in the zoning bylaw to allow them anywhere? So I think before this bylaw can move forward, I think we need to decide, is this something council even wants to do? I think getting into the meat and potatoes of the bylaw at this point is kind of maybe premature. I think we need to, this was just a very high level bylaw. We can make it to the way we want it to be. But I think before we spend time doing this, I think consensus of council is which direction we want to go would be the best.
Okay, could I ask that we start with Councillor Collins? We'll go around the table.
What are you actually asking of me, Richard?
Whether you feel that we want to have a new bylaw, or we just want to continue and deal with it on an enforcement basis.
Okay, my personal opinion is I think we should have a permit situation or a permit system, because I think actually taking every one of the trailers that we see in our township straight to the court for contravention of the zoning bylaw could cause a complete explosion. And I think in preference to that, I think we should go to a permit basis. That's my thoughts.
Okay, could I ask then, when you talk about permit, are you talking about a permit for the season? Or are you talking about a permit for like a temporary 1 month, 3 week? What are you talking about here?
I think we should have a permit for the season, and also a permit for 1 month, 2 months, or 3 months. And I think, and I don't want to be rude here, Richard, I think you are very naive if you think people that were renting their trailers would actually admit to renting them. They would say it was their second cousin first removed and it was family. And I really think that we should make no differentiation between family or renters here. I think people have a tendency to not quite tell the truth if money is involved.
Okay, so you'd like a seasonal permit then, correct?
Seasonal, and the option of 1 month, 2 months, or 3 months.
Okay,
Yes.
okay. Okay, Councillor Florent.
I could probably live with a licensing system, although I think it's going to be a problem determining whether it's just an ordinary camper trailer that you have parked on your property between uses, or if you're actually using it to camp on your property. Like, how are you going to determine that? I don't think a bylaw enforcement officer, unless he camps out at the end of your driveway, is going to be able to determine that. I have a travel trailer. I use it for hunting in the fall. I use it occasionally. Well, I did use it before COVID to go to different archery tournaments around the province. And I also, on an occasional weekend when I have family visiting, I've used it for overflow. Is that going to be legal? Am I going to need a permit to do that? There's a ton of questions involved. Like, I see other places in the community of Madawaska where people that are camping on Crown land bring their trailers to private property and store it for the winter. In some cases, 5 or 6 of them on one lot. They're not being used, but they're there.
Sort of like the Van Hoof property.
I'm not going to get into that one.
Joe, would you, Councillor Florent, would you be prefer like a seasonal or a short-term, long-term, or all those various options?
I think the options are a good idea. I hadn't thought of that until Councillor Collins mentioned it, but I think it's a valid option. You know, like, I wouldn't mind if I had to pay a permit to have somebody stay in mine on a weekend, you know, as long as it wasn't cost prohibitive. If it's like hundreds of dollars, I might as well just get a motel room for them and they can travel back and forth.
Right, and I want to note in the bylaw that it says 21 days is exempt from that. So that covers your weekends, that covers your family reunions, that covers.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
Okay, Councillor Harper.
I'm fully in agreement with some type of licensing system. Whether or not it's for a year or short term or whatever, I don't really know on that one. My concern is that people who put trailers on their properties and then rent them out during the year. My biggest concern is, where does the septage go? How is it? Is it powered by electricity or permanent electricity or whatever, that type of stuff? If it's rented, I think there should be a permit, some type of permit, and a fairly expensive one, because the person who rents a trailer has got the intention of making money off it. Somebody who brings up one for family and puts it on a property for a couple weeks or whatever, I don't think we should be either bothering them, actually. We should know they're going to be there, but whether or not we charge them for that, I don't know. Further discussion.
Okay, thank you. Bongo?
Thank you so much, Chair. And thanks everybody for the discussion. I think this is all really worthwhile. And I'd just like to remind everybody that I would theorize that even the reason we're talking about this is because we're in the middle of a housing crisis right now. This is a provincial-wide experience. It's not just our municipality that is experiencing this, but I think people want to spend their leisure time here. People want to move here, and people want to live here. Employers want employees to be able to live here as well. But we have a low stock when it comes to housing inventory with regards to purchasing homes and also renting homes as well. So I think what we're looking at is a symptom of the housing crisis. And really, as municipal leaders, I think we have to find a way to be able to manage our growth, but also allowing the residents, the ratepayers, and the visitors the freedoms to do whatever it is that they want to do. But of course, again, to manage our growth and look after the environment, as has been said many times already, just to know that these trailers have a septic system or a privy or something of that nature to handle gray water and sewage. because we are, after all, stewards of the environment. I'm in favor of continuing this discussion. And as councillors, we can't forget too, we don't have to pass this bylaw at the next meeting. I think that we should take our time and discuss this over time with some public engagement as well, so that we come up with a permitting system that fits our township. And I commend staff for the report. I think it's a very good starting point. And I do have some more questions, but I'll save that until later, because I know the chair is just going through gathering each councillor's opinion of whether to approach this or not. So just to reiterate, I do want to continue talking about this permitting system, and to keep seeking information and public engagement so that we come up with the right solution. Thank you.
Okay, could you just elaborate a little bit more? Do you think a seasonal permit or possibly a short-term permit? Or a combination?
I think a combination would, and I think for us to determine whether we're going to go with monthly or seasonal permits, I could see that discussion and that detail being really evaluated later on as we approach those details. The 21 days, I think that's very reasonable. As Tracy said, that the 21-day limit really covers all that family visit, friends coming up and visiting, and that kind of stuff. And then what hasn't been mentioned yet in this meeting is that there is a clause there about a stored trailer as well. So somebody could identify a trailer that is just stored, it's not being habitated by humans at all. So there's also that as well. So yes, in short, a seasonal permit, sure. Now, Councillor Florent did mention something very interesting, and I'm just kind of curious how many people live in trailers from December 1st until May 1st. I don't have a major issue with somebody living in a trailer in the cold months, so long as they have all of the proper amenities that are up to code, and whatever sort of permit or license that they would be required to live in that trailer, unless what council wants to do is kind of steer all of the people that want to have 4-season trailers for them to talk to the building administration department and then get all of the proper hookups to the point where they're basically turning a trailer into a structure.
I just want to add to that. I don't think that recreational vehicles or travel trailers have the specs for winter, for 4 seasons. They're not under the building code by any means for 4-season. So I believe that's why that was in a bylaw from another municipality, and it was probably because that travel trailers and RVs aren't meant to be lived in the wintertime.
Right.
The reason I said that is there was one in Madawaska that was used year round. I don't know how he did it. It doesn't exist anymore, but certainly back in the 60s and 70s, when construction companies worked all year, they had sleep camps, and they're just essentially trailers that they winterize, and they lived in them year round. They had washrooms year round, everything year round.
Okay, thanks, Councillor Bungo. Councillor Rodnick.
Well, I'm in favor of having some sort of licensing system, but this seems to be quite a complicated issue. And I mean, we got to take our time and make this decision right, because I'm worried about not only affecting, people that are just, the 21 days sounds great, but you got people that they're going to be renting these things out probably for the entire season. Then you're trying to look at campgrounds. How are these things going to affect campgrounds too? I mean, in effect, we got to watch out for that, because these guys sometimes, there's people that they put their trailer at the campground all year round, and they put patios on them and everything else, because they come back to the same thing. And then the big thing is enforcement. Like, there's no sense having a bylaw if you can't enforce it.
Okay, thank
I
you.
just want to go back to
Yeah.
Councillor Rodney's comment about trailer parks. They are exempt from this because they have the proper zone. So they're permitted in a
Oh.
campground zone. So if they're permitted, then they don't fall under this bylaw.
Okay, thanks.
Mayor Dumas.
Thank you, Councillor Shala. I agree to the permit system. I think that, we all know that there are occasions, as you indicated, that there's a family reunion or something, people come, the camp trailers are there, they leave. That's not the concern. And that's just great. It's bringing people and families back to our community. But I see places where there's a house and they've got two trailer, there's trailers on pads that are travel trailers there. And, and we all do that if we have to. If we have family coming, we accommodate them how and where we can, and then they're gone and we don't have a permanent trailer sitting there. So I think we need a permitting system. If it's under 21 days, as Tracy, that would accommodate the family reunions, etc. I think we have to have some control on this. I think it's important. And as I say, I've seen the trailers come and now they've got decks around them and the people are there on the weekends and they're gone. And, we have many rules and regulations for people that are on patent land that have homes that we expect them to adhere to maintain, our, as I indicated earlier, our pristine area. I think we have to have the same control over these seasonal or short months use of trailers. So I'm certainly in favor of a permit system, and I think we need to continue to work on this. And a municipality as South Algonquin cannot solve the housing issue in Canada or our province on our own. It's a huge issue in the current federal election, and it's a sad situation, but we've got the process in place if people want to have a home in a trailer. So again, I think we need to have a permit system. And I think we also have to have some oversight in this as well. Thanks.
Thank you. I'll go now. I guess I would agree with a licensing system or permit system for anything. We talked about 21 days, but possibly less than 1 month would be maybe a better way to go. And anyway, it certainly looks like the majority are in favor of licensing, and also the majority are also in favor of short-term no charge use. So I think there's a consensus there. There's some combination of involved here, but so anyway, that's what it appears. Now, are we prepared to go through what this bylaw at this time, or because if we are, we can.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Can I make a suggestion that maybe on the sake of time, how about everybody go through that bylaw, make your changes or your recommendations and bring it back to me, and I will clean this up and take it back with everybody's comments and changes for discussion. And I see Mayor Dumas has her hand up.
I think that's a very good suggestion.
I would like
anyway,
to.
Go ahead, Mayor, then. Okay, sorry, Joe. I
No,
your
the mayor
was
had
up.
her hand up first.
Okay, go ahead, Mayor. I can only see 4 persons here.
You're on mute.
I'm mute. Okay, sorry, Councillor Shala. I would really like councillors to consider when we look at this too. I have grave concerns on a couple of the residential properties that I move by that I see the trailers on, and you couldn't get a fire truck in there if you had to. There's 2 that I know in specific. The trailers are so tightly packed together. The fire department would just have to stand on the edge of the property and pour the water on whatever was happening. They couldn't get a vehicle in there. So I think in this permitting system, I think we have to be explicit as to, the number and the safety requirements. Ambulances have to be able to get, and there's lots now that have trailers on them where houses exist that I don't know how they get in there themselves. And when everybody's home on the weekend, it would be very difficult to get an emergency vehicle in there. Thank you.
So number of trailers per property?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
The point I would like to make is the huge difference between whether the trailer is the primary residence on that lot or it's a secondary resident and there's already a house on that lot. If there's already a house or a primary resident and the trailer is secondary, we are receiving taxes on that property. Maybe not the trailer, but the properties that only have a trailer on, we're not receiving any taxes for the building. Those ones should not be, if there's only a trailer and there's no primary residence, I think they should automatically be charged a fee, the maximum fee, enough to replace what they would be paying if they had a full-time residence. I don't think the 21 days should come into that at all if the trailer is the only thing on the property. Because they may only come for 5 weekends a year of 2 or 3 days. They would be under the 21, but it's the primary unit on that resident or on that lot.
That's a good point, Councillor Florin. And that's why I had made that in the physical impact, I had made that statement that there could be a higher fee for those trailers being placed on vacant land to compensate for lost taxation.
Councillor Shalla, just
Yes.
quickly, further to Mayor Dumas's request regarding limiting or controlling the number of trailers on the property, I do believe one of the things we spoke to in here was site plan control and having an approved site plan, which would then allow us to ensure appropriate and adequate access by the fire department and other emergency service personnel.
Okay, thank you for adding that.
Can I say something here? I think Councillor Florent brought this up when we originally spoke about it in June. My concern is, what do these people in the trailers do with their black waste? They're not punching into a septic system, and the septic system that is put in for the house is actually gauged for the house. So any addition to that septic system would be possibly against the building regs for the septic system. And I know if they're not punching into the septic system, there is a setup with a portable tank, I think they're referred to as honey wagons, where you can drain down the tank and take it somewhere. Where are these people in the trailers taking their black waste? And almost as important of that, where is the grey waste going? Where is the washing up water, the showering, the hand washing with possible antibacterial soaps, etc.? Are we allowing that all to sink into the ground without approved French drain systems or gravel drain systems? So I think there is a lot to actually bring into effect here. If there's holding tanks, are these people being encouraged to take their holding tanks to the septic station, maybe in Algonquin Park? I'm really concerned about this. Thank you.
Go ahead.
Councillor Shalla, just to further respond, Councillor Collins, I believe one of the things that we were talking about, and Tracy can correct me if I'm wrong, but within the contents of the bylaw, we were intent on, during the licensing process on an annual renewal basis, they would have to provide some substantiation that they've been handling their septic waste and their grey water properly. And if they were to connect to a septic system that's existing, there'd be a requirement for them to get the appropriate permits, because obviously septic systems are designed for a certain amount of effluent discharge within them. And we would have to make sure that they met the requirements with the chief building official doing an inspection to ensure that that matter was managed in an appropriate manner.
Thank you. Okay. Do we have enough information? There's a consensus then that Tracy's going to recirculate this, and we're going to get back to her with our corrections or suggestions, and then she'll likely compile them all and get it back to us before our next meeting. So should we move forward to the next item on the agenda?
I'd just like to take one moment, Councillor Shala. So I just want to confirm what I'm hearing. The consensus is that we do want to proceed with the process of amending the official plan and the zoning bylaw. Of course, this is the regulation would come thereafter, but certainly there's a time process. It's probably 3 or 4 months, subject to no appeal, to process an official plan and zoning bylaw amendment. So in order to get us to where we would be regulating, we need to move forward with that type of process regardless. And even if council chooses at the end of the day to not regulate trailers, we still need to give them the permission to be able to utilize trailers on the property in the first instance. So I just want to confirm that that's in fact what council wishes staff to proceed with preparing, and that we will then recirculate the bylaw as well as part of the move forward process. And as we move forward with the official plan and zoning bylaw amendments, we will collectively tweak the bylaw that might be utilized to regulate the trailers. And then once we've got everything else in place, we'll bring forward a final version of the bylaw for final approval during that process.
Okay, and then it would definitely get public, give public an opportunity to comment, correct?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Have we heard from Councillor Harper, Councillor Shala?
He hasn't, I don't see him. I don't know whether he's still with us or not.
He provided comments in regards to the licensing, that he was in agreement with it.
Yes, he did.
Yes, I am.
Oh, there he is.
Of course I'm here.
Councillor Collins, did you have a comment from him? Or a question for him or something?
No, I just wondered what his thoughts were. Yes, he agrees with permitting, but seasonal, short-term, one month, 2 months, etc. I just wanted to know what his views were. That was all.
Under options, he had questions.
Okay.
I just had him down as having questions under the option section. Questions about it, I guess, whether we're going to have 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, 7 month, year. He had further questions to ask, so I just left it at that. Okay, is there anything else to discuss about this before we move forward? None noted. Let's move on to the next item on the agenda, please. We'll have the Works Department staff report.
Hi, everybody. Thanks. Yeah, I guess my staff report takes the form of my usual update that I used to present at council meetings. So I can just go through it as usual. Just wanted to highlight the amount of erosion damage that occurred in Sabine this season during the seemingly endless heavy rain events that we had for a period. It's helped us expose some weak spots out there, and we'll be moving back towards Sabine next week and taking care of some things we had on our list to address out there. There's a few culverts that are in pretty advanced states of deterioration that we're going to target first, and then we're going to address some of these areas that exposed themselves during the rain events, and also looking at some work on McCrae-Hay Lake Road that we discussed. A little update on the OSIM inspections, our biannual Ontario Structural Inspection Manual work for our bridges and large culverts. They're going to be beginning this Friday. And as part of that, they're going to have a look at the culvert that is under the causeway on McCrae-Hay Lake Road. Just a visual on it to get us started with maybe looking at some different options for that when we finally get around to, or whenever we get to reconstructing McCrae-Hay Lake Road in the future. Our annual crack sealing that we do, you've seen around town. We've got a date for them next Tuesday, and the weather looks agreeable. So you'll probably see them addressing some cracks that have appeared in Allen Lake Road, Algonquin Street, and one crack that appeared on Galeri. It's a longitudinal centerline crack and can happen. Also got an update on the asphalt repair for Allen Lake Road where the Beaver Dam failure occurred in 2020. They wanted to postpone this work till after Labor Day when the cottage traffic slowed down some. So they're telling me they will be here next week. They're in Hastings Highlands right now. I'll be moving there right afterwards. I guess I'll just bring up now that I have a little amendment to my report that came up as of yesterday. I'll deal with at the end, and that's an update on the Blue Sea culvert. I was able to meet with Ontario Park staff yesterday, and we'll have a little discussion at the end about the result of that site meeting. Just going on into the incident at Allen Lake Dock on July 26th, a contractor, as I said, attempted to load a mini excavator that weighs in the order of 5,000 pounds across the floating dock onto a barge. And it went about as well as you would expect. Broke the ramp entirely in half as soon as he put his weight on it. We effected some immediate repairs. The ramp has been replaced, and I've had some discussions with Brian about pursuing and recovering costs with the contractor involved. We do have their information, and we'll be dealing with that probably shortly. But the new ramp is in place and 100% back in service and safe for public. One little situation that arose, the ramp that was broken, we removed and sat beside the dock on the grassed area and had intended to see if we could salvage the float just for future use. And it was stolen immediately that night. So anyway, we've let the appropriate authorities know that happened. It's probably worth about $400. Not a major amount, but still, that didn't take long. Anyway, the rest of the ramp has been removed back to the yard, and we'll salvage some of the good boards that are still left in it that we can do maintenance with. I have been in contact, moving on to protective services, with the contractor that is looking at the automatic refill system for the pump house at the M&L Hall that the fire department uses, as well as supplies water to the recreational facility. And they're extremely busy. We were hoping to get them earlier in the year, but they've committed to completing the job this fall, and it should be, we're still expecting costs to come in under just maintenance and operational budget items. But they are committed to do that before snow flies. So I'll keep you updated on that one. Then just would like to give you an update on capital projects and where they're sitting at the moment. Shields Road was completed actually between July 26th and August 31st. Sorry, I missed that in my report. That should have been August 31st. We began layout on 26th, and then we had some other things to attend to off and on, but that was the period that it was done. I think it's going to be a fairly easy road to maintain. We were able to change those some of that rocky terrain into something that's quite smooth to get a truck in and out efficiently. I don't know if anyone's or all of you've had a chance to look at it, but if you are down there, it's probably worth having a look at how it's come out. Little update on the Airy Trestle. We've provided a letter of intent to the successful contractor. They have ordered material. They have a delivery date between 4 to 5 weeks and are anticipating beginning the job mid-October, and do not see a problem with having it done before the end of November. So it's also probably not a bad time of year for them to be down there. Tourist traffic is slowing down, and it's, it's before the winter season when they're thinking about cross-country ski trails. Hay Creek Road, the survey work was completed, and I will be meeting the engineer to do the field review tomorrow at 10 o'clock. So we're anticipating having that design completed and for you guys to have a look at probably in November, and in time to start thinking about budget considerations. The roads needs study, they will also be commencing tomorrow with traffic counts. So you're going to see traffic counters set up at a number of locations. They're going to do their counts, and then they're going to move to other locations. They're going to be targeting our feeder roads that feed systems, just to make it something that's manageable. So in Sabine, for example, they'll be looking at traffic counts on the Mackenzie Lake main line, and that will tell them what's coming in and out of the entire system, and based on that they'll make assumptions, that kind of thing. The branding plan signs are all up, and we can certainly talk about them if we'd like to after this. I've been trying to work with the MTO actually starting in May to get some of the details worked out for the main signs on Highway 60, and I've had some success with our officer Anna Long as of 2 days ago. She is looking at a way that these signs can be approved under something called decorative municipal signage, which is different than the outside of their corridor signing policy. And it looks like because of their size, we may be not subject to all of the rules under the corridor signing policy, particularly the sign that is between Whitney and the east gate of Algonquin Park. There's just no location that works with their minimum distances from other billboards and curves. So we're hoping to have some information so we can get those last 4 signs installed shortly. Dry hydrants. I'm just going to maybe back up a little bit from what Dawn had mentioned during the emergency services meeting, and that is we have what the M&R has said is that they have no preliminary concerns with the 3 locations, but we will get full approval once they get a sectional drawing for each location and a description of our construction process. The last time we went through this, they didn't require structural or sectional drawings. We just described the process, so it's a bit of an additional hurdle. We have engineers will be coming up to do the survey in the 3 locations as part of the OSMs. So their surveyors will stop at each location. It's not a huge expense. And then they'll be able to show that sectional drawing with the pipe on it to satisfy the condition. And again, we're anticipating them Tuesday, the 21st, and probably will only take half a day for them to get their information. They'll have to go out on the water with a boat to get the lake bottom. So that's it. The 1-ton plow unit that we ordered last December arrived a couple of weeks ago. We've had to make a few, or I guess have a few small deficiencies rectified by the supplier, just some missing accessories, and there's still 2 outstanding items that they'll be getting to us, but that unit will be in service probably this week or beginning of next. And as we mentioned last time, the former unit is up on the GovDeals auction site now, actually. Also, as Tracy had mentioned, an update on the tenders for the Lester Smith building and the Whitney Library. The tenders closed last Thursday, and we had 6 bids on each project. The bids actually came from as far away as Toronto and Sudbury, which was a little bit of a surprise, but I think we got some excellent prices. We have 2 successful low bidders, and they are within our budgetary allowances. The Lester Smith, they've committed to beginning October 6th, and anticipating be finished in 3 to 5 days on that project. And it's a similar start date for the medical center. So we'll be bringing a resolution to the next council meeting just to formally accept those tenders. But I think we can just, based on the fact that they're well within our budgetary allowances, maybe just ask for consensus among council to let them know that they can get the ball rolling before the resolution is actually passed.
Does everybody agree that, which is a good idea, so they can get their ducks lined up so that they have their material ready?
Yes,
That,
I do.
Yep.
Same here.
Absolutely.
Does anyone have any other questions of Dave on this, on his report? Very detailed report. Thank you, Dave.
Richard, I do. It's Jane, just quickly.
Yes, go ahead.
Dave, I'm sure this is a given, but I just want to confirm on the Hay Creek Road with the design work that there is a designated width of pavement for a walkway. That's got to be one of our busiest walkways, within the village of Whitney. So just to ensure that we do have the width there to mark off a walk area.
That's an excellent suggestion. And at this point, no, I had not actually mentioned that to the engineer. During our field review tomorrow, he's actually given me a number of points that he would like to discuss on the final design. And once we get this, this survey drawing in front of us, I think there's a couple of things I would like to discuss with council. And I think one of them is that we go beyond our normal pavement design for this road of 2 inches, that we should probably consider 2 lifts because of the it's a major truck traffic route. It is also a non-half load road, and that maybe we really have a good look at this drawing. And I think it is the busiest road in the township, certainly when you consider truck traffic. Another thing that I would like to try and pursue once again, that you'll all likely remember, is what happens in front of the LCBO and the post office. We'd reached out to the LCBO in the past, and we really didn't get very far with them. But the traffic is coming out from all directions. We have logging trucks coming through there, and then there's people parking on both sides of the road trying to walk across and access the post office. And I think that should be something that maybe should be built into the design, and we should be recontacting the person at LCBO.
Good idea.
I have a question for Dave on the Hay Creek Road as well.
Go ahead, Joe.
Dave, did I understand you correctly to say that the OSM was going to look at that culvert? Is that the culvert northwest of McRae's Mill that you're talking about?
No, sorry, Joe. I meant the McRae Hay Lake Road.
Oh, okay.
At the causeway, yeah, the 100-foot long one that we had the incident with in 2012.
Yeah, absolutely. Good.
Dave, anybody else have any questions?
Just one quick comment, and
Councillor
that's thank you, Chair. The manager at the LCBO did approach me about the traffic concerns there, and I did advise for her to speak to you, Dave. So yeah, if she would be more than happy to talk to you about that.
She actually did, and
Perfect.
Yeah,
awesome.
I did let her know that we have a file on this, and it goes back a number of years. And I had a meeting with the LCBO going back, and they had their reasons for not wanting to change anything at that time, but I do think they really need to look at it. And apparently they have a new property manager now that I hope, maybe sees that there's a need there. I do have my addendum item that I would like to bring council up to date on the Blue Sea culvert status.
If could I have one more question about your project here?
Yep.
I just don't want to forget. Dave, I think you mentioned it, but I wanted to just confirm. The dry hydrant at Mackenzie Lake is basically to the south of or west of the boat launch. It's on the right-hand side of where the boat slip is that correct?
Correct, yeah, that's the
Okay,
proposed
good.
location. Yeah.
I was just concerned that it might be over on that sand beach where it's quite a busy spot on the other side of the bridge. Anyway, good. That's fine. Okay, go ahead with your Blue Sea.
So we had a site meeting as a result of some conversation that Brian had with park staff, that they had requested that we try and find a solution to move ahead to get this culvert replaced. So I met with Adam Stopa yesterday. We've been trying to coordinate our times for a couple of weeks, but yesterday it worked out. And basically where it's sitting at the moment, they would like to get this culvert done. I think we all would. Is that they have the material, they bought the pipe, they have equipment, and they are willing to provide any granular material from their pits locally that was required. And they also have a small budget to do it that is likely manageable. Under the the premise that this would be done during the winter months when the creek is very, very low. They have no environmental concerns about silt or anything else. Their people have been out and looked and agreed that there's no risk to a species there or anything of that nature. But what they have asked of the township is at a minimum that I supervise or conduct the project. They would like my expertise involved. If possible, if the township is willing to also support with some equipment and labor. It's a 3-section pipe that they have, so it would have to be coupled together. Based on the time of year, it would be replaced in the exact same location where the existing pipe is. And I was thinking, we could look at a budget where, or their budget and see if it would work. They would require the rental of a large hoe to build it. And then they have a loader, they have trucks that they've offered, but they're looking for some kind of a partnership with the township to complete this, involving myself at a minimum, but possibly even, some staff labor. It's a bit unusual, but we are there's several places I can think of off the top of my head where we're sharing space in the township, and it's we have the Clear Lake boat launch, we have this area trestle, and I think Councillor Harper mentioned that we should try and reach out to see if some funds can be available from the M&R, because they've also mentioned that they're interested in developing some accommodations up on the ski trails that would be accessed through that bridge. Just at yesterday's meeting, and we have a shared interest at the Allen Lake boat launch, and I believe the Hay Lake boat launch as well. So I'd just like to kind of open that up for discussion.
Good.
I would say we work together and get it done.
That's right. Get it done.
Anyone else?
I have a question, Chair.
Go ahead.
Dave, thank you for bringing the update on the Blue Sea culvert. I think we all want to see it done as soon as possible. Prior to us actually agreeing to create this type of partnership for this project, would it all be spelled out on a piece of paper with regards to what all the expectations are and what the township will be offering in terms of staff hours or your project management and things like that?
In a simply, no. I mean, we could, it's possible. I mean, it could be an email. I think they're looking for a simpler solution. We replace culverts all the time. You know, it's, I'm very concerned that this pipe, this has been going on since 2015. When I visited the site yesterday, this pipe has actually collapsed down on itself. Probably another foot than last time I looked at it. We're crossing this pipe, you know, with a single axle to plow that road still. The engineer placed a 3-ton limit on it. I think it's in the realm of emergency repair. It's probably past that. I'm worried about going across it with equipment this winter. And I think it's really bad optics that, you know, should this pipe fail, I don't think anyone would want to answer those questions.
Oh no, for sure. Yeah, no, I'm supportive of the partnership. I'm, you know, as me being at this table, I just want to make sure that we're not going to be draining a lot of our staff, like over draining our staff resources on this. But at the same time, I am very supportive of the partnership, as long as it's done in a way that's very fair and both parties win and everybody wins at the end of the day.
Do we have a consensus then from
Mayor
council?
Duman has a question.
I have a question.
Yes, definitely.
I have a comment, if I could go ahead, please.
Yes.
I think it's imperative that we have a written process in regards to this, due to the fact that there seems to be a different person in charge of Algonquin Park. Quite frequently, they have frequent staff changes. And this is a huge project. And I think for the safety of the township, there should be at least something written down as to the process and our contributions, a dollar value given to our contributions in this project. I have some reservations, just because there's been so many people. He's telling you don't have to put a cloth down. Does he have that written somewhere by one of their environmental assessments? Because that was going on. Dave, I think we really need to have strong documentation on this project. And I'm not saying don't go ahead with it, but I don't want the township to be left vulnerable for any, you know, future problems in this area.
Absolutely fair question. You know, we do have methods of silt control. They've had their people out. Now, I would want to see some reassurances in an email from them. I shouldn't say there's no documentation. What we're trying to avoid is basically all the roadblock red tape that we've run into since 2015. When we believe this was our asset, you know, out of courtesy, when we are exempt from many things, where culverts are replaced under our roads, under the River and Lake Improvement Act for an emergency situation. So usually out of courtesy, I will call the M&R to let them know what our protections are that we're going to do when it involves a major waterway. And that's where we, you know, ran into everything that we've been dealing with that's prevented this pipe from being replaced up till now. Certainly, you know, I would want to see some of that in writing. The time of year, you know, if you've been out to that pipe, when you're there in February and March, that is down to a creek that is about 2 feet wide and 6 inches deep. At this time of year, that water is 6 feet deep. You know, it would require silt boom cofferdams. It's a very major undertaking. But during those winter months, it's basically a pipe in a, you know, way oversized pipe in a little wee tiny creek. So it needs to be structured. I shouldn't have said no, that we shouldn't get in, but we're also trying to avoid running into those other roadblocks we've already seen, and parks would like to see it repaired too.
So this will give us
Yeah.
ample time. Sorry, go ahead, Mayor.
No, I just said fair enough.
This will give us ample time to make sure that we put out the right and there are proper notices within, so everybody that's living across the culvert will understand that there could be a week of passage that's not allowed.
That would be entirely in the hands of Ontario Parks, as it
Okay.
is their road at the moment. So they would be taking care of all road closure and communications.
Okay. Now, if there was one other item, Bongo requested traffic congestion at Gallery Lake boat launch.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, you've got 5 minutes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much for the opportunity. So I'm sure that all council members were probably contacted by at least one resident throughout the summer with regards to traffic congestion at Gallery Lake boat launch. Moral of the story is that, and I mean, this has been discussed a lot with regards to the unique agreement behind how the launch is run. But essentially, we have Algonquin Park campers that don't necessarily know the parking etiquette at the boat launch. And as a result, cars are blocking areas and our ratepayers are unable to launch their boats for recreational purposes at Gallery Lake boat launch. And I had one ratepayer, well, actually probably about a handful, explain to me that they were trying to manage traffic at the boat launch and take terms into their own hands. And other people were just flat out frustrated and said that they just were completely unable to launch their boats. Also, Aylen Lake, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, also experiences some congestion as well. So I don't want this conversation necessarily to only focus on the Gallery Lake launch, because as I understand, Aylen Lake also experiences some congestion as well. But essentially, our ratepayers are paying for a boat launch that on some busy, high traffic long weekends, they are unable to access. I think that this unique partnership is a good thing for the township. I think the fact that it is an Algonquin Park canoe trip access point, I think that's a huge asset for our township. And I wish to continue this conversation in a cooperative way. But I'm ready to put a motion on the table to basically get the ball rolling with regards to us as a council discussing some strategies, some proactive strategies that we could take to alleviate these congestion and parking issues. At another meeting, and I think it was the mayor that actually mentioned this, and this was probably in early July, she had mentioned the idea of utilizing the surplus parking over by the fire hall or by the baseball diamond and somehow directing overnight traffic to those areas so that we don't have overnight parking for the Algonquin Park canoe campers taking up spots that our ratepayers who are there for the day, boating for the day, just so that traffic conflict doesn't exist. But anyways, I've been listening to the residents. I'm ready to put a motion on the table and to actually spend some time trying to figure out a plan that will make this work better for the 2022 season. And I was given 5 minutes. Hopefully I'm within that time frame. And I don't know if there's anybody else at the table that wishes to further this discussion. Thank you.
I would like to further this discussion. However, I'd like to do it in closed camera, possibly at the next council meeting.
And out of curiosity, what is the reason for going into closed session to discuss this?
That's why I want to go into closed session. I want to discuss it in, there's a reason. And it's required under, it's allowed under our under our guidelines. I can
Uh,
talk to you. I can flip an email. I
Sure,
don't know whether
sure.
that's proper or not, but I will talk to the CAO about it in the meantime and get his ideas, and I'll present it at council. I've thought about it over the summer and I would present it in closed session. Yes, go ahead, Mayor.
Thank you, Richard. Just before you wrap the meeting up, and I don't mean to rush you into doing that, but I'd just like to give some feedback. This has been a very productive morning and I appreciate all the thoughtful conversation, but I also wanted to let people know, and I'm hoping you're having the same experience as me. I have had so many calls, people stopping me on the street in the various stores, and such positive feedback in regards to the new signage throughout South Algonquin and the beautiful red lawn chairs that are all throughout our township. People are just totally just so complimentary. And I stopped at the dam one morning here in town, and there was a couple there and they had a camper trailer and they were sitting in the red lawn chairs with their coffee cups looking out over the dam, and just positive. I've had families indicate that their children are enthralled with the maps. They stand there and look at the maps and talk about the symbols, etc. So I just want council to know that the decision to go with the signage throughout the township, from the feed that I'm getting back, is appreciated very much, and adds a vibrancy to our community. So just hopefully you're getting some of that feedback as well. I've had people that have actually gone from Galerie Lake, at Galerie Lake, they go down and they do the JR booth, and they've gone out to the Tom Murray. They just want to see what all the areas look like. So it's becoming a little travel route as well. So good stuff. Thanks.
Could I ask that this be put, it was on the agenda 2 previous meetings, never got discussed. Could I ask that we give it more time? Because I'm thinking that we're only allowed to be on here until 12 o'clock. So I'm just thinking that those maps and signs to require more discussion, maybe at another meeting.
Councillor Shalla, just to give you a heads up. In fact, when we ran out of time the last meeting, I made sure that I extended so we didn't have that happen again. So,
I'm sorry.
Our live camera time will actually run out at 1 o'clock, but we can wrap up anytime before that.
Chair, I'd like one comment on the parking lots. I happen to had a private discussion with a resident of Allen Lake last night, and I said that the township has to differentiate a parking lot from a storage lot, and I think that is some of the problem. We have to come up with a time period that you're allowed to park in a parking lot versus leaving units or canoes or trailers or whatever for a whole season. I think somehow, somewhere, we got to come up with an alternate parking lot for that type of parking.
Definitely.
And that's
Didn't Allen
probably
Lake-
for all the docks or all the parking lots.
Doesn't Allen Lake have one of those before you go down the hill on the right?
Yeah, but that's where that's part of the problem. There's the cars are getting backed up right up the hill because there's a lot of trailers being parked down there. Unfortunately, I believe some of them are from people that have road access cottages, and they leave their trailer down there.
Okay, didn't we also at one time, other councillors may remember, I thought we discussed inquiring as to the possibility of the association maybe looking at that gated in where the old dump was? Isn't it gated?
No,
Yeah, that is, I can answer that. That is true. I reached out to the M&R. I provided mapping, and the discussion just dropped off on their end. Kind of coincided with the beginning of 2020. I can reopen it up to them.
Wouldn't it make
All the
sense?
information was sent to the M&R and the request on behalf of the Cottage Association.
How many vehicles would that hold? It's been a long time since I was in there.
Oh, it's quite a large area. Certainly a couple hundred meters, about a couple hundred meters.
One of the concerns the cottagers have about that site is its remoteness.
Yep.
And the liability or the ability of crooks to get there. If somehow it was gated and only there and only used for long term, and then it could be keyed or combination locked, and those people could, enter and exit themselves and lock the gate behind them.
Yeah.
Something has to be figured out along that line.
Wouldn't it work?
We
Wouldn't it
we had a neighbor that parked a trailer up there and somebody stole it.
Yeah, but if it was gated and the gate was locked,
right.
it would be different though.
Exactly.
I think it'd be good.
It's,
And if the association managed it, then it'd be perfect. They
I-
can give out the keys and whatever, come up with their own guidelines and go for it.
we'll
It
just
would
add
certainly
that,
help the problem.
sorry, I can just add that the M&R has the information that they needed, they asked for. And maybe I could just, we can be in contact with the Cottage Association and they can contact the M&RF, to try and make that happen.
That may work at the mall. At Mackenzie Lake, I don't think there's an issue there, but possibly Hay Lake. I mean, there may not be an issue there either, but if it works, why not?
Chairman,
Yes, go ahead, Dave.
I just have a couple comments on the Glary Lake dock. I brought this up several times in the past. I definitely agree that we require more conversation about that boat launching ramp and the M&R using as an access point to Algonquin Park. And not only an access point, but now they're using as an aircraft launching ramp. They fly that Turbo Beaver in there to pick up their crews for Algonquin Park. Again, I've brought this up several times in the past, and I certainly agree it requires more discussion.
Mhm. Yeah, so myself being as the counselor that brought this to the table, what are the next steps here? I mean, I would love to set a plan in place so that come summer 2022, our ratepayers will be happy seeing that we're taking some action, alleviating these congestion problems, because I think that's the crux of the issue, is that right now there's no management at all, and our ratepayers cannot access the boat launch when they want to on their days off for their boating recreation time. So how do we continue this conversation further? For example, can we direct staff to staff time to create, I don't know, maybe a draft or a couple drafts of some steps that we could take to take some action on this?
These are all good questions.
Councillor Stala, could I say something?
Yes,
When I got called on the July long weekend to go to the Gallery camps boat launch, and I went several times, and it was just amazing how there were two vehicles that had parked in the trailer area that basically obliterated the parking area because they didn't know how to put their vehicles in there with a trailer on them. The other thing, and I did actually track down the duty officer for Algonquin Park that day, and I was talking to the person at the West Gate that does the camping stuff, and that individual told me, she said, for example, there was a group setting off that day from the Gallery campsite. There were 9 people in the group, and they came with 4 vehicles. So those 9 people took up 4 parking spots in that, because they were a group of friends coming from different areas. So there's no control. I said, well, when you're putting tickets out, do you ask how many vehicles? She said, we don't ask them anything. We just get their license plate. We don't even want their names. She said, that's the way the system works now. So, you have that kind of stuff happening. Nobody's going to, and then that day, there were 2 people with 2 groups with canoes in the area where you back your trailer in, and they were sitting in their canoes holding onto the side of the boat launch having their lunch, and people couldn't get their vehicles in there to get their boats off the trailer. So it's a huge issue for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and
I agree. I circle around there too, and there were last weekend or long weekend, I was quite surprised. Maybe it was last weekend at all the half-ton trucks that were there compared to cars, and a lot of the half-tons never had trailers. It would just seem like a total change in clients, but
yeah, so just adding to what the mayor just said, I think our biggest problem could be mitigated if we send all of that overnight camper parking to either the ATV carpool area or the Ball Diamond parking area. And this is just an idea that one resident pitched to me, and that was to give our ratepayers a free parking pass, but then put up paid parking for anybody that is not a resident of the township. So in that way, kind of forcing all of those vehicles out there, because of course the Algonquin Park campers probably don't want to pay an additional parking fee on top of the camping fees that they're already paying for. In addition to, I don't know whether it's posts or signage just explaining where cars can be parked and where cars cannot be parked, because some people don't understand that there is that turnaround area.
The only concern I have when you said the Ball Diamond, I don't think parking at the Ball Diamond is a good idea, just because we do have people that go play ball over there. And if there's a bunch of cars parked there, then that's just more issues if a ball hits their car. I think if we put signs up, some people are going to listen and some aren't. I just don't know how that will be enforced. How do we know if they're overnight? That's the problem.
Right. And I mean, this is why we're looking at the possibility of hiring a bylaw officer. And Tracy, yes, I'm 100% okay with all of the overnight Algonquin Park campers to be parking at the ATV carpool. I think that's totally fine. But yes, you're right. I mean, people may not, I mean, right now, nobody knows where to park. All of the visitors coming from urban areas that are coming for their outdoor escape, they just don't know where to park at all. So it is really much a free for all. And
there is signs there already. But,
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if we do not, anyways, if I'm the only voice that's pro, let's take some action on this, then that's fine. But I want the people to see that, because if the other council members do not wish to take any action on this, then so be it. But I just want everybody to know that I've heard you, and there is a solution to this. We just need to dedicate the time and the willpower to address it.
I agree.
Oh, Bondo, I'd like to say that this discussion has come up, and everyone at the table has always supported how do we move forward, how do we improve it. It's never been a case of let's not do anything, or I guess maybe we haven't, but it's certainly that I think council was always interested in this, and Bill maybe remember, and he's been away for a period, but it was likely discussed when he was here for 8 years. So Councillor Harper would tell you the same thing. The mayor could tell you. Like, we've always been interested in trying to resolve it. We want people to come to our township. We want the outfitter to gain from the canoes they're renting. It's a community investment. How do we make it work? That's what we want to do.
Yeah, that's the hard part.
I agree, Councillor Sala. To infer otherwise is not fair to council. This has always been on our books, and it's not just the South Algonquin, it involves Algonquin Park and other agencies. So we've got time now. We can work on this through the winter.
Exactly. And yes, I completely recognize that that council has spoken about this in the past. And I didn't mean to seem as if council has not looked at this concern before in the past. I think my main message is that right now the public doesn't care that we've talked about it. What they want to see is action. That's all that they care about right now. And we could talk about this every year, but without actually going through the steps of putting together a mitigation plan, I think the public will continue to be dissatisfied.
I think you're right. I think that Ontario Parks, because Mayor Duma had spoke up there and said too that Ontario Parks need to be involved, and it's not just us that are involved in this. And how is that going? What's that going to look like with Ontario Parks? So conversation, and actually I sat in with Brian that day when we sat down with Ontario Parks, and now we brought this very issue up. So I think maybe that's just a follow back with them again and just say, okay, where are we going to go with this and how can we work together because I personally have been there and we had a hard time launching our boat because there's so many parked in the way. So I get it. It's just what does that look like?
For sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
May I comment?
Yes, go ahead.
This problem has existed for years, but normally only on long weekends, maybe a couple long weekends during the summertime. The rest of the time, there was lots of room for our residents to use the parking lot. This problem has really come about since COVID and since social media. People are talking to one another, saying how beautiful spot it is and this type of thing. The biggest problem is the ministry or M&R using as an access point. This had never occurred 2 or 3 years ago. I don't know why they are telling people to go to Gallery Lake Dock for an access point to Algonquin Park. There are very few campsites on Gallery Lake. Where do all these people go? I still have to find out. I have no idea. And for the fact that, or the idea of people parking over at the ATV or the Skidoo parking lot, I don't know if that's going to work or not. They're going to fill the parking lot up. This might be an overflow area, but I don't think people are going to go there right off the bat and park the vehicles and walk all the way to the boat launch. I don't think that's going to work. The best solution to this problem is the M&R find a different location for their access point and get it away from Gallery Lake Dock.
So
Chair,
can I agree that we're going to look into this further then? And I certainly want to put I would certainly like to discuss something in camera at our next meeting regarding this.
I agree.
Okay.
I definitely want to discuss it.
Okay. I guess that's the last item on our agenda. Is that correct? If we could move our agenda.
Yeah, that's the last item.
The last item?
Yep.
Yes, it is.
Was there anything else? And if not, could I get a mover to adjourn?
Just before you do that, Richard, I want to thank you for chairing this asset management meeting. I think that I'm improving every day and I will probably be able to resume the duties at the next scheduled asset management meeting.
Thank you, Joe.
Good.
Do we get a mover to adjourn?
I move
I'll move it.
Moved by Dave, seconded by Bongo, I think it was. Thank you. Enjoy the day, folks.